So obsessing over your weight is actually ruining your progress. Now, I've been in shape for over 5 years and I'm an online coach helping other people make some really cool transformations. Now I'm going to tell you why obsessing over your weight is a problem and what you can do instead. Firstly, you want to stop looking at daily change and you want to focus on net change. So look at my client's weight loss in this first screenshot. When you look at it like this, it looks like something's not going to plan because, you know, the weight's going up. But this is only a few days. What you want to do is expand the time horizon and focus on net change. So is the general overall trend showing a weight loss? And what happens is if you look over the span of 2, 3, 4 weeks, then you can see that the weight is actually going down. So the first mistake you're making is becoming too obsessed with a few data points just from a couple of days, because that's not an accurate representation of whether your plan is working or not. You're going to have days where you walk more, days where you have, you know, a bit more water retention, hot days, cold days, loads of different things can influence how much your weight can fluctuate. So when you expand it across the space of 2 to 4 weeks, that's when you get a proper measurement of what you're doing is working or not. Imagine if you started a cupcake business, right, and you want to test different cupcakes. If you just give a sample of 10 of chocolate cupcake flavour and people come back and give you a result, it's not really that reliable because 10 people is not enough of a sample size to know if whether what you're doing is working or not. So what you do is you give it out to 100 people, 200 people. Then when the results come back, you've got a much better analysis of whether what you're doing or whether this flavour is good or not. It's the same sort of thing. So let's say in a month, if you're just focused on the first 4 days of when you start a plan, that's 4 cupcakes, not really that good. But then if over a month, let's say 28, so you've measured yourself over 28 days and you're checking the weight over 28 days, that's 28 cupcakes that you've sent out. That's a lot better to make an assessment from. So focus on the net change over the space of a month and not just a daily change. So track your daily change, but don't make any adjustments until you've got a good amount of data. The next point is you want to avoid getting emotional, because getting emotional is what leads to making poor choices. So that sort of feeds into the first point. So I had a call with a client and he messaged me saying, you know, I was like, oh, FFS. He was like, oh, my weight's just gone up a little bit. And he's only been on the program for a week, so I explained this to him. And what happens is when you get into that emotional state, if you don't know this, what I'm about to teach you, is that you'll start making shifts to the plan. You'll get negative emotions coming into your mind which will lead you to making silly decisions like snacking, coping, making you feel better, not following the plan because you think that it's not working. When in reality, what you're doing in terms of the plan might actually be the perfect plan, but because you're obsessing over your weight on a daily basis, you're basically shooting yourself in the foot. Because you obsess over your weight, leads to negative emotion, then you fall off the plan. When, if you don't obsess over the weight, you just track it and you understand, oh yeah, I need to wait at least 2 to 4 weeks to be able to see if what I'm doing is working or not, you can continue with the plan with no added stress or tension. Most people don't have a knowledge problem when it comes to fitness because it's everywhere, right? You can find this sort of knowledge everywhere. Most people have an implementation problem. They don't know how to do it, and this is one of the reasons why you get emotional and you fall off the plan. The next point I want you to do is stop obsessing over your weight and start planning your time. When you have free time, that is the time that you are most susceptible to falling off plan, making adjustments and doing stupid things because you've got nothing else to do. One of the best things I recommend to my clients is to start time blocking your days, not just with your fitness, but with your life in general. Because the gym isn't your life, it's a part of your life. Right? The best transformation I made personally was when I was in uni and I really started to dial in my uni. I really started to focus on my work and my exams, and I created a productivity routine as well and a schedule. So simultaneously I was getting really good progress in the gym with my fat loss phase, and my uni work was getting better as well. But because outside of my gym my time was filled up being productive, I wasn't stressed and worried and, you know, moaning about whether I was getting my six-pack or not because I had stuff to do. But if you don't have anything productive going on in your life outside of the gym, you'll come back from the gym and you'll sit there for 6 hours and you'll be like, oh, I've still got this fat on my stomach, the weight's not going down, you'll start obsessing over it. So I honestly think I'm one of the few YouTubers or online coaches that say this, but don't just be obsessed with the gym. Find hobbies, find skills, focus on your career. try to get better at what you're doing and really commit to that, because it creates a positive feedback loop. And another point, super important, is to stop obsessing over your weight and start focusing on your inputs. You see, your weight change when you step on a scale, you can't actually control that. That is an output. No matter what you do, you cannot force that weight to go down. All you can do is control your inputs. And if you can understand this point, I promise you, you will achieve every single fitness goal that you want with ease. So let's talk about what your inputs are. Sleep, whether you go to bed on time. Your steps. Your training, are you hitting your 3 sessions per week? Calories, are you eating the right calories that you need to? Are you doing it consistently? Are you keeping your mind healthy and well by journaling, reading, consuming good information? Are you jacking up your dopamine levels by chasing instant gratification all the time? So these are all things that you can control in your input. So the problem becomes, most people just focus on the scale and they focus on one little thing just before that, which is the meal plan, right? But that in itself is a mistake, because I can give a meal plan to some people who will follow it perfectly. They'll hit the calories on a daily basis, no problem, the weight will slide off. I can give the same meal plan and program to someone else who just doesn't do it, who can't stay consistent with it. So the problem isn't the meal plan, the problem is your ability to stay consistent with what you need to do. So that's another thing that you need to look at. There's always an underpinning problem, which is an input, which is stopping you from being consistent with what you need to do. And you need to find out what that is. If you get emotional and start making silly choices, start journaling, start understanding what it is that's throwing you off plan. If when people come round to the house, you realise that that's when you start overeating, then you've got to develop some willpower and have some confidence to tell people, look, I don't really want to eat this today. So when you stop obsessing over the weighing scale, the output, and you start looking at your inputs, you realise, oh wait, there's loads of things that I'm doing wrong which is actually influencing the scale negative way. And once you start focusing on those inputs, the scale is a reflection of that result. Do you understand that point? I really hope you understand what I'm trying to say here. Like, I had a catch up with my client the other day. We spent about maybe a minute talking about his weight on the scale. What we actually spoke about was, cool, how can you make your calorie tracking easier for you with your busy schedule? How can we improve your sleep so you're getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep in bed? Right, cool. How can we get your steps in on a daily basis? Do you want to plan your steps in so after your meals you go for a walk, or do you want to save it up so you go for a walk at the end of the day? So we don't actually spend much time talking about the weight itself, which is the output. We focus on the inputs, because when you dial all the inputs in, it's impossible for you not to lose weight. You see? So find out what the reasons are that you're not losing weight and focus on those, and stop obsessing over the weight itself. And I promise you, that will get you the weight loss that you're looking for, no matter what age you are, no matter how busy you are. So if you're an entrepreneur and you really want to change your lifestyle, mindset, well-being, physique, everything, there's a link I will drop in the description. Click that and we can have a free strategy call. But that's all from me. Goodbye.